Hiya, and welcome back to Cleaved, the game that teaches us that if there are no Skjold cuddles, I will look, Mr. Developer, I will look you in the eyes, tears running down my face, and state, word for word, Mr. Developer, why hast thou forsaken me? Anyways, let's just hop right in. I did not test the saves. I rub my eyes furiously, baffled by what I'm seeing. My hands are quickly balled into fists as I rub my eyes furiously, baffled by what I was seeing. Before I have a chance to question if what I'm seeing is real, Heim steps over rather smugly. The wolf takes a moment to cross his arms before leaning down to my level. Impressed? The smugness emanating from him is palpable. How in the world? Leos. I'm sorry? Leos. You were curious how we're able to make such marvels, and Leos is the answer. He takes a few steps away from me and ushers his paw for me to follow him. Before we settled here, one of the oldest tales that we wolves would pass around the fire is the story of Skjold. Winters back home were brutal, crippling even. The constant conflict we found ourselves in was that the season made it nearly impossible to work in without freezing to death. The humble tools we had back then were immensely primitive by today's standards, but we wolves owe our evolution to the great scholar Bald, my ancestor. Just when I thought he couldn't get any more prideful, despite his off-putting attitude, my interest in the topic is not lost. As the tour continues, we stroll past a pair of wolves huddled around a table. They seem to be working closely with a torch and some sheet metal. It's because of him that these inventors can go about bringing their ideas into reality. That's incredible. What are they working on? Do it, I decide to inquire about the two other wolves I see, tilting my head over in their direction as I ask Heim. Those two are actually some of Fisk's wolves. They're not doing anything too special, it's just something to do with some kind of filtration system for gas and water. They have this idea that with the right machinery, they can create some kind of facility that can help with crop growth. I'm imagining the full picture in my head. The application would be incredible. You mean that they have the resources to create industrial greenery? That's amazing! If it goes through, you'd be able to make any kind of vegetation you'd like. The two wolves momentarily look away from their welding to glance over at me. It's hard to hear them, but I can just about make out a mouthed thank you. Back to work! While not the most groundbreaking discovery I've seen, the fact they'd be able to create something so complex at such a large scale was truly impressive. Well, yeah, serves a purpose, I guess. Huh, guess he doesn't like attention being taken off his toys. As we continue the tour, I see a line of totems similar to the light I saw at the market. I notice that it's missing a certain detail. Are these different? No, these beacons just haven't been commissioned for anything yet. We make a few of them at a time, but they get left on standby when finished. When a request comes in, its symbol is carved in. Symbol? Did you notice that the beacon in the market had a moon? Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. We carved a symbol in them so that the wolves in charge of delivering it know where it's going to. A crescent is for the market district, full moons are for the castle, a sun is used for farmland. It goes on to give me a small history lesson about what each symbol means, and where I'd roughly find each symbol in the city. Huh, so everyone's got their own unique symbol. They do indeed. I continue to ponder this as we continue the tour. Heim goes on to stop in front of a set of two wolves who are working on a metallic-looking object. Eric, Leaf! Any progress to report, lads? Good afternoon, Herr Sir Heim. We've been running some concept tests to make sure our design is performing as intended. What are you guys working on? We're trying to find a new way of heating our homes in the winter. Our current idea is this beauty, a varmer. The idea is that we can start installing these in homes across the kingdom and remove the need for fireplaces and for heating. Not only would we be reducing wood and tree consumption, but we have reason to believe this will be beneficial to the surrounding woodland. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. The wolf's description immediately clicks in my mind, as this isn't entirely different to something I remember from home. Sounds like you already know how this is supposed to work. Well, we have a similar concept back where I'm from. We call this a radiator, but ours differs slightly. Not familiar with what you'd use for the heating process, but the way ours work involves heating water. But we've been able to synthesize Leos into a liquid state, because it has the same properties as capable of self-heating. I see. Provided you get them a power source to charge it, you'd have an effective radiator, and using less fire also reduces the amount of harmful chemicals being released into the wild. So yes, your secondary point will be correct. That water idea is truly innovative to replace the Leos. Radiator? Shush! I'm taking notes for Herr Sir Njord. This is exactly the kind of news he's wanted. Yeah, it's... The rotund wolf cuts me off, dragging me away from his smaller compatriots. You're joking, right? They've been working on this for months and you suddenly know all about it? How the hell do I know about that? You're welcome, scholar. Turn around in a jolt as the voice comes back into my mind. As I turn back, Heim leans in expectantly waiting for an answer. Well, as I said, we have a concept of it back home. I only know it as much as I do because it's something covered at my place of study. Moments pass by as he seems to shuffle the thought around, and to my luck, he believes me. Huh. Seems like they must have taught you a lot. Quite a bit at that fancy-ass university. Man is the exact definition of that audio that's been going around, like, how do you spell chauffeur? Chauffeur. Ooh, we got fucking fancy pants Rich McGee over here. What the fuck? Yeah, I know how to spell chauffeur. I know how to spell chauffeur. He already is. Man looks like the definition of what the fuck is a kilometer. Show the fur that is now under the pants now. Hang on, can you? I have to know. I have to know! I have to know. You enabled the curiosity in me, Damien. I think this is the surrender route. I have to know. Heim. Aww. I'm sad now. They certainly didn't skip out on it. He picks up the pace, satisfied with my reasoning as we approach the object of his fascination. Around a table stood a handful of wolves with a few devices adoring the woodwork. As we step closer, the devices come into clear view, and among them, I see my phone. Huh, what are they up to? As we approach the table, my phone is mostly intact, the only difference being that my case has been removed. I assume that they wanted to wait for me before they took it apart, wanting to ensure it wouldn't be damaged. Human. The reason why I so graciously offered you this chance was because I was intrigued by what you said at the trial. For as well off as we are, it pains me to say that we're still behind when compared to a lot of other kingdoms. It pains me even more to say who the leader in that department is. He can tell I'm going to inquire, and wanting to waste no time, he elaborates. King Rowan of Redhaven. Skjold probably mentioned them to you. He's the king of the southern continent, and the Catland shithole, as he likes to call it. Yeah, he did mention it. As a matter of fact, he wasn't sure if I was from there when we first met. Please tell me you're not. There's a scowl on his face. God, he's jarring. Stop looking like you just sucked a lemon. Stop looking like you just sucked a lemon. I may not remember a lot right now, but I know enough to tell that I'm not from there. A vein on his forehead is one insult away from bursting. Oh, that's right. You're supposedly from that land where all the humans are, correct? There's a notable sarcasm in his voice, but I quickly brush it off, not wanting to deal with his tantrums. Not just supposedly, I am. And I know it's only a matter of time before I find a way to get back. Sure about that, runt? Can't exactly get a guide for it. Pfft. It'd be like leading the blind. It'd be like the blind leading the blind. It's called being self-reliant. Maybe you should try sometime instead of riding your great-grandfather's coattails. Oh! I had failed to notice how loud our little spat had become, and the wolves around couldn't help keeping silent any longer. They began chiming in by banging their paws on the tables and letting out resounding sets of laughter and jabs at the rotund wolf's expense. Haim, ever so flustered, demands them to calm down and get back to work. Bryn fucking ate! He ate and left no crumbs.
It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water.
He went off.
It's time to drink water.
You're still on the clock, get back to
It's time to drink water.
He then turns to me, grabbing me by the shirt collar. Can't help but flinch by the sudden touch, but not wanting to lose my cool, I steel myself. You little runt. He whispers to me in an attempt to not draw any more attention. Please, if they get that rowdy over some verbal banter, imagine their impression of you if you strike someone who matches your attitude. What's your reputation going to say then? It's a gamble, but my attempt is rewarded with him letting me go. I brush my neck to straighten my attire as he recomposes himself. For the rest of the day, no side comment exchanges while there's a public eye. Fine. My eyes do a slight roll as we wrap up our exchange, pressing on deeper into the factory. You know, I do have one question so far. How come Calder was so hesitant to tell me about all this, but you've been quite free with it? 'Cause he's just so compassionate. Ugh. Only scholars, builders, and royally appointed get to know about Yos. He probably did it to one. Not overtax your brain with knowledge, and two, see if I deemed it necessary to tell you. Is that because I'm working for you? Ooh, careful, he's learning. His passive-aggressiveness aside, I appreciated his answer. Is he right, Calder? Did you really not tell me for my sake? Hein proceeded to snap his fingers, snapping me out of my thoughts and getting me to focus my attention on the table with my phone once more. As you can see from the many displays around the shop, we're not savages. Hell, I'd even go as far to say that there's no other kingdom that had such an advanced transport system. However, other kinds like the Felids have an advantage in areas like communications, entertainment, and most annoying of all, trade. Haim gives a nod to one of the wolves around the table and they activate a screen. On it was a display of a tall building. They're able to do this by being the pioneers of the relay towers. A vast majority of the other kingdoms have these as a way of communicating with each other, but this one's highly limited. How so? Due to the distance, the towers can only communicate with one another or with devices only in their vicinity. So you can use your tower to talk to local devices like the screens, or you can contact other kingdoms, but there's no overlap? Precisely, and with how well we get on with the Felids, you can imagine that part doesn't get used very often. Okay, how's my phone going to help? You claim to have a device that can essentially act as a portable version of our towers that fits right in your paw, with the power to communicate with others oceans away no less. I want you to show us how it works. If we get it to work, the possibilities for improvement on our own towers are infinite. I see. Looking down at my phone, the idea of doing what they're asking for should seem impossible, but there's a strange familiarity to it. For a moment, my head begins to pound a slight bit, my brain racking itself with a faint memory. 200 pounds for a screen fix and a battery repair? That's ridiculous. Our prices are not without reason. If you don't want it, I suggest you go somewhere else. Oh, please, for that much money, I could fix it myself. You go and do that, then. Is that me? This vision skips ahead a slight bit, seeing myself in a familiar room. As I look down at what I'm doing, I can see that my phone has the front screen removed, a heater off to the side. This version of me is desperately searching the drawers of a desk, finding a small rectangular shape. Ha! I knew I had a spare battery in here. Quickly finishes up his customizations and modifications to the device, and I watch him reseal the phone. Bryn. He holds down the power button and the phone turns on with its familiar startup animation, proving he was successful. Bryn! Ah! What in hell is that about? Sorry, I was just going over what I need to do in my head. Seemed like a memory. I better put that to good use then. Haim, the two wolves that were building that heating device, is there any chance they have a smaller version of it, one that can be used for practice? Where are you going with this? In order to get to the broken parts, I need to heat my phone. Then, Ivar! Bring the prototype farmer over here! As the two wolves approach, I instruct them to turn on the heater and place my phone over it. It doesn't take long for the glue to loosen enough that the screen becomes pliable. I look around the table, familiarizing myself with the tools that were out, and settle on a pair of tweezer-like pliers. Oh, hiya! Dragon, is that you? skinny enough to fit into the gap, but not too big that they'd cause damage. With the layering undone, the unseen electronics are now on full display for Heim and the interested group of wolves behind him. So this square here is the battery. That's what I need to charge for this to work. The wolves around me share fascinated murmurings, Heim taking a more calculated look at the components. How we go about using this to contact our devices? I imagine you'd need to have some kind of tech you'd have for the screens. I'm not sure how they work, but they must be connected to the towers for them to function, right? That's correct. I'll have one of the lads explain it to you properly, but are you confident your device can handle Yos? Any of our devices that require energy only use that due to the efficiency of it. I don't see why not. If the power source is small enough, we can test if it's possible. Heim turns back to another wolf. Give me the smallest Yos receiver and some of the template wiring we use for the lighting. Oh, I don't like him. I don't like Heim. I don't like him. The wolf nods in understanding and begins to walk away from the table, swiftly returning with the requested items. Wolves then take the lead in installing the battery replacement. Okay, the wiring needs to attach to this green board in the back and those two bars here and here. The wolves follow my instructions, giving me chance after chance to view their progress and ensure that we're on the same page where everything went. As they begin to huddle closer, I lose sight of my phone for a moment and feel my focus break. Looking around the room, I settle on a few wolves who seem a bit disgruntled. Why the hell did Heim have to let him in here? I know, right? We've been working tirelessly to get these projects out and available to the public, and that seems like it's just been forgotten about. It's ridiculous, and now he's commanding and bossing us around too. Agreed, brother. It certainly isn't helping. Then you two can go home. Herr Sir Heim. Apologies, sir. We didn't mean silence. You can forget about today's pay. Get out of my sight. I feel slightly bad for the two. I've struggled to take Heim seriously when he throws his tantrums, but he looks pretty scary when he's composed. Excuse me, human. My head turns back on a swivel, back to the workers, as they inform me the new battery's connected. Perfect. Now, can one of you explain to me exactly how your screens work when receiving signals from the towers? One wolf steps forward. He goes on to explain that the way technology works is that a small chip is embedded into the battery to act as a receiver. The receiver is then capable of sharing out and taking in the components of what the user wants to send. He also explains that the natural field of Yos around us is fully capable of carrying out this task. My mind is slightly blown at just how sophisticated this all sounded, especially given how it all feels plenty familiar. As I watch them slowly insert the receiver into the battery slot, a blue light emanates from the phone. Wolves look impressed at the integration process, and I join them with a smile. Herr Sir Heim, we're ready to begin testing! Yof's ear twitches in our direction, and he quickly jogs over to our location. Another wolf walks over to the other side of the room and begins to touch a circular device mounted to the wall. That's a large-scale receiver. If we ever need information shared to us on a device that can display on a screen, we can activate it. Everything's ready to go on our end. Ready to activate the F-phone? There's a slight chuckle from the crowd around us, but they give an understanding nod as they boot up the phone on our end. It isn't long before we see a mild success with the two devices pairing. We've got it! They've synced! Now, do we know if comms will go through it? All we need is someone to test it. Care to do the honors? He looks over at me and I sheepishly step forward, leaning down to speak into the receiver. Testing, hello? In mere seconds, my voice is transported across the room and begins to emanate from the opposite device. Testing! There's a mix of reactions decorating the room before Heim chimes in. Gods above, that close with one single attempt! Seeing his pleasure, the wolves' reaction now shifts in balance to that of happiness due to the success of the tech. Soon after, they gather around the table and begin to discuss theories on how the overall connectivity could be improved. Some theorize that if the hardware was updated to have a more personalized receiver and additional microphone support, an improvement to the sound quality would come in turn. As Heim studies his workers' thoughts, he pushed me to the forefront. You're the expert here, human. Do their ideas have any merit? It felt like I was a professor, like I was taking my place at a podium as I began a lecture that would undoubtedly prove fascinating for my students. In my discussions with them, I failed to notice the sun setting through the warehouse's windows. It felt good to have my brain prodded in such a way, bringing back a strange familiarity to my once clouded mind. So, with the new receiver adapted for this technology, we should already see significant improvements in its stability. And how's the microphone coming along? We still need that for the improvements, yes? Yes, we still need to work on the overall adjustments, but with the human's help, I'm positive we'll have results soon. Perfect. Get set up for the night, lads. We have... Herr Sir Heim! A scowl forms on his face from the abrupt cut off the PA system. What is it, boy? The Ergo is here for the human. He's busy. He's threatening to come in and drag him out if he's not brought to the door. Heinem's face drops, and I can't help but be mildly amused by his reaction. Tell him I'll be there short! Huskar, Gare, I know it's official business, but we're close to a break. Ignoring all of them, Gare comes through to the work area. Gods be damned, you know that I don't like you in here. Have you forgotten the pecking order, Grimmer? That's completely irrelevant when I'm enacting an order from His Majesty. Herr Sir Holm hasn't had an opportunity to do a study on the human's biology. As such, until that happens, I've been ordered to ensure he's back on castle grounds by Moon's Peak. No time had passed, but I didn't realize just how much. I peer outside and see that the moon's glow is fading into parts of the factory. Must be quite a different feel from that windowless laboratory, huh? Fucking headache. Pushing past the feeling of discomfort, I step forward and allow myself to get a full view of the masked wolf. Now, are you going to dismiss him, or am I going to have to completely ignore you and carry him back? Can you really carry me and that spear? Distractions are probably for the best, but if it helps take my mind off that insufferable voice. What'd that even look like? Bridal style or like a ladder? Bah! Fine if I must, but tell His Majesty that I want him to have that medical assessment as soon as possible. Not letting something like health and safety impede me. Clearly this fucker does not know OSHA violation. OSHA regulations. That is an OSHA violation. OSHA regulations. I choose you. Use OSHA violation. OSHA violation. I'd laugh if I knew he was being sarcastic. Oh god. Bryn, you're free to go for the day. Have someone report back to me when you're cleared for night shift. He aims his gaze at me before returning to the work table. Right now, I want us to refocus on combining a comm. His voice trails off as Gare slowly starts to escort me to the exit. Good night, human. Take it easy, man. See you again, hummus. Thanks, guys. See you soon. Lost in my own world, Gare opens the door to the warehouse and lets me step out. Look at you, here for a few hours and already walking away with friends. I mean, I don't think I'd go that far. Please, everyone's a bit skeptical about you, but for you to get goodbyes, you must have done something special. Maybe. As the door slams behind us, I can audibly hear him stiffen. So he's back in work mode. Sad. Our moonlight stroll is a simple one. Gare taking me down many streets that I'm slowly becoming more and more familiar with. Particularly with the market square that I'd visited the day prior. While on the day it seemed busy, it appeared to be dead at this time. Must not be much trade this time of the night. No, the bars are gearing up for the evening crowds. Must have been thinking out loud, but I was certainly curious about what a wolven night out looked like. Maybe one day. As we stroll past the many shops that were closing their doors for the night, Gare stops in his tracks. The scent of cinnamon rolls and vanilla floods my nose. We turn our heads to see the open window of the bakery in Calder's store come into view. Gare, my boy! He looks over to the window, tail wagging in rapid succession. He eagerly makes his way over to her, and I follow in turn. As she comes into view, I can see she's an older wolf. She's gray in color, but her fur has a nice shine to it. Auntie Amma! He does a pseudo-whisper yell, trying to hold back his excitement. It's actually kind of cute. Oh dear! I didn't see the visor! She raises her paws to her muzzle in shock as she seems to try and quell her own excitement, knowing of the wolf's situation. Hello, human! Seeing me, she refocuses her attention. Hello? God, I gotta get better at greetings. If you don't mind, dear, I'll do the talking with you so Mr. Tall, Dark, and Brooding can keep up that appearance. Wolf next to me cracks a smile as I work on setting my awkwardness aside. I continue the conversation without any hitches. Of course, as long as that doesn't cause you any concern. Oh, please, dear, I could care less about that. I actually find you being here rather exciting. It's not often we get such an accomplished traveler taking up residence here, much less a handsome one. There's a warming smile plastered on her muzzle as she continues to compliment me, and I can't help but blush. I can kind of see why those three care for her so much. She's really sweet. Anyway, Gare, I saw the order you placed for those twists we do. I knew the order said they were for tomorrow, but when I found out who they were for, I couldn't wait. Amma, you're supposed to be enjoying retirement. Bah, these old bones don't know the meaning of the word. She has a giggle to herself before lifting a basket to the windowsill. But if you want to save an old wolf a delivery run. He doesn't even pause before diving straight in and grabbing the basket, helping the older woman with lifting it. Happily taking it off her, he uses his free paw to take a pouch out of his belt. Oh no, your money's no good here, honey. What kind of auntie would I be if I didn't feed my boys? He goes to open his mouth, but she has none of it and quickly shushes him. She makes a hand gesture to put the pouch away. And you make sure to eat a few of those. You hear? You're too skinny. Can't remember. But I fucking love Amma. I love her. She's like a supportive grandmother. I can't help but chuckle a slight bit at the passive scalding she gave the much larger wolf. This snaps Gare out of his one-sided conversation. I can tell he wants to make a move. I hate to cut this short, Miss Amma. Bad, drop the formalities, Jack. Gare here has been instructed to bring me back to the castle for the evening. Is that Calder asking for that, or the council? She rolls her eyes in a semi-playful way as she says that last word. It's actually from Calder himself. I see, then I won't keep you boys any longer. Give him and say or my love if you see them. Of course. Have a good evening, Amma. Good night! The wolf reaches out to the window and pulls them closed, doing the latch to lock it and waving us goodbye before she disappears into the back of the shop. I look up at Gear and the wolf looks back expectantly. She's wonderful. Puts a smile on his face as we turn out of the alleyway and begin walking back to the castle. So those pastries all for yourself, or... He rolls his head back before raising the basket up to me, allowing me to grab one. Thanks. Take a bite out of the flaky pastry and immediately let out a groan of satisfaction. Just what I needed! Before I know it, we're at the castle gate. The shutter quickly rises so that I can step through. They're for Skjold. The pastries, I mean. If I know him as well as I think I do, I know he probably hasn't eaten today. So I'm going to take these over to him so I know he's eaten something. I'm going to trust that you're going to return to your room. Well, that's awfully kind of you. Now that you mentioned it, I'm shattered. Guess today took more out of me than I realized. You haven't got to worry about that. I'm too tired to do any mischief making. He chuckles at the wink I sent him. He follows it up with a satisfied nod before he begins to walk back to the city. I wonder what his work looks like. Skjold cuddles aren't real! I'm sad now. Home sweet home. Even on my own, I can't escape my sarcasm. Rather defeatedly, I make my way over to the couch, taking another bite out of my pastry. Start thinking about the day I've endured. In a day, I've managed to jerry-rig a phone setup, impress a bunch of wolves and their boss, and confirm that I've got some use to them. After I got arrested, got put in a place for hardened criminals, and then got put on a trial where I could have been locked away forever. Jesus fucking Christ. Mr. Developer, why hast thou forsaken me? Jesus fucking Christ. A single tear rolls down my face as I can feel the anxiety suddenly starting to build. Getting up from the couch, I stroll over to the kitchen sink attempting to get a glass of water. I grab the closest one and make my way. In my haste, I didn't get a firm enough grip on the glass and I had to watch it shatter into multiple pieces on the floor. My heightened state, something as small as this just pushed me over the edge. Shutting down all other emotions, I press my back into the cabinet and sink to the floor, pulling my legs to my chest to cradle them as I focus on breathing. My heartbeat begins to echo in my ears like a drum, my palms turning clammy as I feel a cold sweat coming on. As every second passes, I feel as if a force is growing inside me, slowly squeezing me and repeatedly making it harder to breathe. The surroundings begin to blur, dulling my senses further as a state of unreality is forced upon me. Rationality in this moment crumbles as a sense of impending doom takes over, and my thoughts turn into a chaotic whirlwind of my worries and fears. You'll never get those memories back. Please, those wolves were pitying you, as if you could contribute to them. The feeling is enough to drive me mad, and the difficulty I was having in trying to get my breath under control certainly wasn't helping. And, to top it off, you're acting like pathetic there, You're acting a little pathetic there, Scholar. Oh god, the fucking voice again. And I'm not going anywhere. Can you hear my thoughts too, you weirdo? Do me a favor and fuck off. I can do more than that, Bryn. I can see you, hear you, and I'm always near you. Pfft, trying to tell me I'm talking to God? Ha! Maybe if I was all-knowing, you'd have a leg to stand on. Then what are you? There's a pause from the figure as I feel the shadows set in. The feeling is otherworldly, but the sensation of the darkness taking over levels of my previous anxieties. And I find a strange comfort as a small light appears. Before me, a pool of black, ink-like substance puddles in front of me. From its center, a shape seamlessly begins to form. A creature clawing its way out of the substance as it finally forms in front of me. Maybe I'll tell you what I am someday, maybe I won't. If you're smart enough, maybe you'll put the pieces together yourself. But that's not too important right now. What is important is that you've caught my attention. The reason that I can't consider myself all-knowing is the simple reason that your actions are an anomaly to me. And I'm very interested to see how it plays out. What are you even talking about? I'm talking about something new. I've spent what must be eons watching for the same kind of events over and over again. This is truly the first time I found myself drawing a complete blank as to what could happen. I found new entertainment. You sound delusional. And I might be, but a certainty is I know is that I'm invested in you. How about I show you a taste of it? My investment. And how would that work? Just like this. Like a specter, my consciousness slips from the void as I'm left to stare at two individuals who are seemingly walking around a facility of some kind. I'm brought closer to the pair and a wooden sign comes into focus behind them. Rockford Hills University? Wait a second. My head begins to ache as a rush of knowledge makes its way back to me. This is my university, but what exactly... So, how are you settling in? I'm not gonna lie to you, Sanders, it's been a bit rough. You don't say. The two of them serve as a distraction, but I'm immediately drawn to the taller of the two. Despite him being the figure of interest, I'm immediately taken aback by the sight of familiar ginger hair and a set of black rounded glasses. Holy shit! The two of them take a sip from their coffee before turning around, beginning to walk toward me. It's baffling. I mean, you've seen my transcript. Yeah, a humble kid from the sticks who used to fix phones and designed automated machines is now working on... Wait, what? Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but I really think I can pull it off. I'm not saying you can't, Bryn, but I'm curious. Why are you studying I mean, is there not something you could do that focuses more on the here and now? See, that's the thing. I knew I could, but would literally create and I think we could learn more from I mean, think about it. We could spend decades being stuck that might be too late Whereas with my research, we could directly R and Fucking right. What the hell? Why can't I hear them properly? No matter the distance between us, parts of the conversation continue to be deafened by strange noise. Well, I do see your point, Bryn. Just remember... Oh, please, I've only been here a week, and I've heard that mantra of yours enough times to last me a lifetime. The two share a chuckle as they walk away, heading to the university building. I try my best to follow them, but something is pulling on me, forcing me back from the scenery. No, wait, I need more... Before I can even finish my thought, I'm pulled back to the point of space that the first voice confronted me in. Damn it, what the hell was that? A taste. Bryn. A faint voice calls out to me. Distinct enough for me to know it's someone in front of me, but muffled enough for me to question who it is. Bryn. I feel another pull, this time a warm one. Show me the rest. The pull tightens. Hold up. Oh, yeah, we're safe. The pull tightens. I need to know the rest. Bryn. The world shifts, and looking down at me is a familiar set of fur shaking me out of my trance. Bryn! What? Bryn, are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. Just fine. Fine, I found you huddled up on the floor, surrounded by broken glass, and your heart racing fast enough to outspeed a fillid. And you're fine? Ooh. My laptop does not like Calder being here. And there's no way to disable it. Oh my god, thank you for the follow! Thank you for the follow. Calder, we just saw fucking God. How you doing? Thank you for the follow. Ah. My hand reaches to grab the countertop, but it fails. Calder swiftly leans in to grab my hand and helps pull me up. feel a head rush coming on and my face is looking rather flush. Calder, quickly spotting the... Thank you for the follow! Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Dragon. Hang on. Never mind, it's not Dragon. I think. Does it even matter? I don't think it does. Calder, quickly spotting this, begins to lead me over to the couch. He sets me down and steps away, quickly coming back with a more durable cup. He lifts it to my lips and I humbly sip on the pouring liquid. Water. The feeling of dryness in my mouth is eliminated by the refreshing taste. Satisfied, I nod at him and he pulls the cup away. He then sets it down on the table behind him. Deep breaths. Your heart rate seems to be slowing nicely and your color's coming back. With how sunken you looked, I thought you were a drogger. Nope, still the same old me. There's a slight pause as my emotions subside with the breathing exercise. With room and its contents coming back into view, I can finally appreciate the concerned look coming from the wolf. Thanks, for the help. Of course. Listen, do you maybe want to tell me what the hell that was about? While I'd like to share with him what happened, I don't think I could accurately explain to him that I'm hearing strange voices in my head without him thinking I'm some sort of crazy person. I just got a bit overwhelmed. With anything in particular? Just... A sigh escapes my lips. No need to keep this close to my chest. A lot has happened since I got here, and after Gare dropped me back here, it's the first time I've had to actually just sit back and reflect on that. Getting lost, missing memories, the whole ordeal with the various citizens here,
I'm not being
it's just...
gaslit right now. I'm not being gaslit. If anyone says that I am, go fuck yourselves.
Okay. A lot. There's a sympathetic look in his eyes as he says it. Yeah, I take it you kinda know that feeling, huh? Being a king does cause its moments of strife, and sometimes the littlest of things can push you over that slight bit. Yeah, I dropped that glass because my head wasn't screwed on right. The mistake and the noise, it sounds so trivial, but I just feel really stupid in hindsight. What you went through, it's a thing that can literally happen to anyone. By that logic, I don't think it's stupid for someone to experience something like that. He forms a smile on his muzzle in response to a string of chuckles from me. Wait, what? I finish it with a sigh. The moment passes and I quickly flick my legs off the couch that I'm sat upright. So, what do I owe the pleasure? Well, originally I just wanted to come and ask how your first day of work was. Oh, well, it was... He cuts me off by walking away from me. He approaches the door and pulls the assistance cord. Turning a face, I stare at him, puzzled. Not here. After that whole ordeal, you need to relax. It's not long until there's a knock on the door, Calder answering it promptly. Wolf on the other side of the door jumps back a bit, not expecting His Highness on the other side of the door that soon. Got kveld. Your Majesty, got kveld to you too. I apologize to summon you at this late hour, but the occupant of this room requires some services. Of course, what is needed? Can the kitchen be swept for some smashed glass, and can the linens in the bed area be changed? Oh, use the scented ones too, please. Of course, what scent would you like? Whichever one promotes a good rest. I'll get right on it. Can you prepare some towels for the baths as well? Of course. Thank you, that'll be all. As the wolf leaves, Calder turns back over to me. You're stressed and I'm sore. A trip to the baths can fix both of those things, if you fancy tagging along with me. I think it over. On one hand, I'm exhausted from the busy day I've endured, but on the other, the wolf did have a point. Hot water, steam, privacy, and good company. Screw it. I've been wondering about those baths for a while. Oh yeah? Pfft, yeah, feels like you've ended up down there every night since I got here. Well, yeah, makes me look great. You could maybe take a page out of my book. He flicks the fur on his head in a mocking manner, closing his eyes and posing like a model. You show off. The wolf's humor is infectious, and I can't help but join in on his tomfoolery. I pick up a cushion from the couch, and before he has a chance to open his eyes, I launch it right at him. He connects with his face perfectly, and I'm left to fist pump the air from the direct hit. Bullseye! He coughs and brushes his face down. So immature. He looks stern for a second, but smirking as he ushers me over. You coming then? After you? Perfect. He then promptly leaves, stepping out and waiting for me to follow. As I get up from the couch, it takes me a second to find my footing, awkwardly stumbling toward the door. The tits better not be censored. Hang on. Let me check the thing. NSFW is off. Okay. I can't have lasted more than a millisecond, but upon passing through the doorway, the void appears once more. As Calder and the castle walls fade, the voice steps in once more. Finish the job with those communication systems, and I might just show you the rest of that memory. Before I could finish the thought, I was back in the corridor. Damn it! All set? Yeah, do we need to bring anything? Oh no, it's all there waiting for us. I'm glad he didn't pry. NSFW beam destroyer is ready to shoot. The wolf tries to talk to me as we begin to walk the halls, but my mind is just preoccupied with the events that unfolded. I don't know if I can trust you, voice, but if the goals of the wolves coincide with you helping me with my memory loss, I'll bite the bullet and get it done. Goodbye. Creepy Bryn, entrance is over here, my friend. Ah, my bad, I thought it was further on. He shoots me a concerned look, but I smile through it, eager to take a dip in these waters. As Calder pushes the door open, a flood of steam erupts into the hall, blasting us with a warm embrace. There is a joint sigh of relief between us as the water's properties are already hitting us. We step inside. Calder escorts me over toward a private room covered by wooden slats. I spin in place to admire the woodwork. Upon further inspection, I see their storage slots, 2 of them holding a towel in them. Calder takes the lead once more by grabbing one of them and taking it over toward the exit door, placing it on a bench behind him. Yeah, no, I don't want to have another Dawn chorus. So I'm going to pull up the sensor. It's much lower this time. So we'll still be able to see the tits. Placing it on a bench behind him. Wolf then proceeds to raise his large arms up. He unfastens a hook on the left shoulder and the cloak drops. He then swings the cloak over his head to grab it as he undoes the second latch, catching it and quickly hanging it up. The wolf, now topless, turns his back to me as he hangs up the discarded undergarments. Damn, he's thick! Can't help but show some admiration for his build. He looks big, and while there is some belly on that bod, it's not fat. Even a glance can tell you that it's pure muscle. I choke back a swallow as I see him hook the sides of his shorts. He flicks his head over to my direction, but I quickly turn, gasping at the hem of my tunic, beginning to lift. Shit, did he catch me? My cheeks turn a slight shade of rose, but I catch no comment from the wolf. There's a good chance he didn't see a thing. With my shirt now removed, the steam goes right up against my skin. It feels good, huh? Oh yeah, it's great. The wolf stands there in his underwear, holding his shorts to put them away at the counter. Then proceeds to lift his paws to the hem of his underwear, securing the binding that had shifted from the removal of his outer layer. I always loved that feeling of the steam hitting your body. The underwear does leave a bit to the imagination, but it complements his proportions rather well, and I do appreciate his modesty for the present company. So, you coming? Oh, right. Oh, it's not low enough? Oh, sorry, let me fix that. There you go. Oh, right. In my staring, I fall behind in the preparations. I don't want to hold Calder up any longer, so I muster up the courage to strip down. I've arranged for someone to drop by some dry garments for us. They'll leave them out here. Not going to have any botherings or distractions tonight. I too take a second to adjust the lace of my undergarments, ensuring they're tightly secured. However, I feel a pair of eyes on me, prompting me to look up at the wolf's glance. See something you like? This humor's really starting to rub off on me. Maybe. No, in all seriousness, I just haven't seen you so bare. It's giving me a good chance to look at that build of yours. Didn't quite cross my mind before, but it would make sense. I spent quite a bit of time analyzing the various builds of the strangers I've met so far. I haven't been in a position where I could give someone the same kind of experience. You're smaller than me. It doesn't take a genius to realize that much. But I can see from here, there's some muscle on you. It's not like mine, but still an impressive amount for someone of your size, Bryn. The wolf flexes his arm to show off his well-formed biceps. You might not get as big as me, but maybe you could train with me sometime. Could help form that muscle a tad more. In truth, I only heard a partial amount of his sentence, ever so slightly distracted by the wolf's natural flexes. Bryn? Yeah, sounds good. I'm only human, right? Perfect. Now enough chit-chatting. Steps into the other room with me following close behind. The steam takes a moment to dissipate, but as it does... Oh. Oh. Well, hello. Wow. The stonework was beautiful. Carved pillars, benches, and pools, all adorned with fine marble and granite. Impressive, right? It's beautiful. An ancestor of mine had it built. When he was designing the castle, he wanted a place where the residents here could get some relaxation. Can't beat a bit of steam therapy. What's good for the coal is good. What's good for the coat is good for the soul. He stops in front of one of the pools, setting his towel down on a nearby bench. I set my own down and step closer to the wolf, dipping my foot in to test the temperature. While I show some hesitation in getting in, Calder showed none, cannonballing into the water and sending what felt like a tsunami back at me. Shit, that's hot! Stop being such a pup. Sooner you get in, sooner you'll get used to it. In a quick motion, I lower my body to the ground and slide my legs over. As my hands tuck in, I feel the bottom of the pool under my feet and my
It's time to drink water.
Allows the water to carry me out.
It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water.
Starting to settle. Oh yeah! I take a minute to myself to float around in the water. The floating sensation itself had a haunting familiarity to it. There was that initial feeling brought on by my feet going out from under me, but now it was different. This time there was a sense of connection, a gentle warmth that ever so delicately held me in the moment. My hair begins to untangle and spread out in the water, the pores beneath being embraced by the warm water. You say something? I had my ears underwater and missed most of it. It's fine. I said I'm glad you're relaxing now. Yeah, it feels great. It's a favorite activity of the folks in the castle for a reason. Really? Indeed. Royals, friends of the kingdom, the staff. So anyone can use these. Of course, believe me, this wolf of all wolves knows the stresses that come with this job. I wouldn't think of depriving this from someone who actively chose to be involved and help. There's one stipulation, however. I keep this side private, for myself, my associates, and any invited guests. How come? I like to have a bit of privacy. There's no peering eyes and ears in here, other than the company you bring in, and I find that it gives a sense of honesty. A sense that anything, regardless of its significance, can be discussed. Interesting. Something on your mind? Yeah, there was something I wanted to talk to you about. A few things, actually. What's on your mind? Which one? Oh, we can choose them all? Okay. I'm wondering if Haim has gotten a solid opinion of me after today. Oh? Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say I've beaten the fraud allegations. He did mention you seemed rather clever. He spoke to you? Not exactly. More like he came to me to complain and I had to listen to him ramble at me. Does he speak to you like that often? I noticed the trial he seemed a bit snippy. So. Professionally, we get along just fine. Personally, though, I think he can be a bit of an ass sometimes. When we speak, I weigh it up. There's times when he gets into one of those states where he's speaking from passion as opposed to, well, you heard him. Sometimes I just turn a blind eye to it at that point. We smirk. But yeah, I'm not opposed to correcting him when I think he's towing the line. I bet that goes well. Success is dependent on the present company. He's got a bit of a habit of being more restrained when there's someone he wants to impress or gain favor with. I see. Before you let it eat at you, I've got every reason to believe he's impressed with you so far. I mean, I already am. Is your sweetness unintentional? Surely it has to be on purpose sometimes. Thanks, I appreciate it. My turn to ask you something now. I know you didn't have a lot of options at first, but do you like the work Haim has you doing? Still trying to figure out what else I could offer, but if... No, I do. Don't blow it, Scholar. My eyes widen and I rise from the water. I don't know exactly how to put it into words, but being in a place like that, testing theories, building things, maintenance checks, seeing what other bright individuals are working on, it feels like I'm at home. No, I get it. I feel a lot more at home when I'm away from this type of stuff. Traveling, being with good company, there's a lot of things I'd rather be doing, because they just feel more natural to me. We share a glance, appreciating the mutual feeling shared between the two of us. A comfortable silence setting in soon after. Fuck. So you pulled me out of work early tonight. Gare said something about me needing to get an exam from home? What was that about? Oh, yeah, about that. My eyes form a piercing stare as the wolf lifts his arm up, rubbing the back of his head. Oh god, here we go. Well, I know how intense Heim can be. I just wanted to make sure you were going to get an adequate break and time to recuperate. For my sake, I hope Heim doesn't hold that against me. Hell, do I even need that exam? I mean, I'm not going to force you, but let me word it this way to you. Holm is really interested in your body. Charming. Tell him to buy me dinner first. Not like that, you pick. As a Lakener, he has a natural attraction to knowledge, and that attraction has been stagnant for a long time. But now there's a new creature he knows next to nothing about living right next to him. Creature? Huh. Put it this way. If you go through with it, Holm is happy and will know there will be no issues with you working. Provided that's the case, I assure Heim will be immensely happy. And, well, if something were to happen, I will know how to take better care of you. Gah, this man. Well, I certainly can't argue with that. Girl got his own Thanatos. If it means I can get back to work quicker, so be it. Isn't he nice? Caring about you like that. When do you think we can schedule it? Leave that to me. I'll let you know as soon as I have confirmation from him. Might even be able to set it up for tomorrow morning. Sounds good. He leans his head back, placing it on the marble as he begins to look up to the shaped ceiling. Wondering what he could be staring at, I follow suit, seeing the carved tiles above us. They're star patterns. They're pretty. Listen, my outburst earlier. Before you say anything, I want you to know that you don't owe me an explanation if you don't want to. I don't know the exact kind of spirit you're dealing with is, but I know it must be a powerful one if it can bring you down like that. You can certainly say that again. I don't want you thinking I'm going crazy or anything. Hell, I might be, but that moment was just a culmination of a lot of stress. Deep breaths first. I do as he instructs, familiarizing myself with the space I'm in, then going back to a level of clarity. I'm fine. I just wanted you to know that. Okay. But you can talk to me about it if you want. Maybe in time. I don't really know how to articulate what I'm feeling in a way that makes sense. When I can, you'll be the first to know. He simply nods before lifting his arms up to stretch them. I'm wondering if I can ask you for a favor. Oh, what might that be? So the past few nights, I've been taking advantage of the stacked bookshelf that's in the study room. Glad to hear you're taking interest. What have you been looking into? I believe it's one of the history books you mentioned, The Great Journey. Over the iced waters? The feeling of undercurrent brushes at my side as the swishing of Calder's tail causes a small shockwave that hits my side. It used to be my favorite book series as a child. My mother used to read it to me. His mother? From our past discussions, I had heard the odd mention of his father, but this was new. Okay, bye. Really? Yes, she was quite the narrator. My mother had this amazing ability to just bring whatever she was talking about to life. She used to teach. Many of us used to love attending her classes when she held them, especially history. She took the most boring subject to us and made it fun. She sounds wonderful. It sounds like her classes were quite the spectacle. Maybe she'd know more about humans. I try to chuckle at the wolf, but as I look closer, I see that his expression had faded to a more somber smile. She had this wisdom about her like no other person I've met. Wish you could meet her to ask these questions, but she's with the ancestors now. No, Calder, I'm so sorry. I didn't... No, it's okay. She passed away when I was very young. I have had time to come to terms with it, even though I do miss her dearly. For a moment, there's a slight tremble at his lip, and he takes a deep inhale. He puffs his chest up before doing a long drag as he exhales, letting the stress go. On instinct, I give him a pat on the back, rubbing the shoulder blade softly. He nods in response, and I take my hand away in turn. Sorry, I distracted you. What do you think of the books? They've been extremely interesting. Those sketches included alongside earlier parts regarding the book's craftsmanship? Simply fascinating. Do you still have those? We do. A lot of the boats are still available to find down at the harbor. If you like, I could take you there sometime. I'd love that. Speaking of boats, that big one that's flying around Heim's warehouses. That'd be my personal vessel. Pretty grand, right? Immensely. I'm assuming you've got it floating because of Leos? He looks at me for a moment, impressed. That was spot on. You'd be correct. There's thrusters built into the underarmor plating. We have made it this way to ensure we have at least one means of travel focused on speed and shortening distance. As soon as we have the technology finalized, we're rolling it out to all the other boats down at the harbor. The hope is that it'll improve transportation, production, and imports. I mean, we'll literally be able to transport people around in a matter of hours as opposed to days. It'll certainly be the best taxi I've ever taken. He doesn't get the joke, but seeing my chuckle, he smiles in turn. We have a similar service where I come from. If you need transport but don't want to take your own, you can pay someone to pick you up and then drop you off somewhere. And it's called a taxi? It's crazy. Bet those words aren't sounding so funny now, huh? I'd be lying if I said they weren't starting to grow on me. But it is interesting. I might have to use that. By all means, it's not like I am. We both sigh as we finish out our laughing fit. Calder refocusing the conversation to my initial question. Glad to hear you've taken an interest in our history, but what's the favor? Ready to move on to the next book in the series, but it appears the one I'm looking for is missing. Seriously, no one's used that room since. He trails off and pauses for a moment. I wonder where that could have gone. He quietens down again as he begins to ponder on the location of the missing book. As much as I want to tell Calder what happened to it, I won't. It's for my own safety. I was wondering if there was a library on the castle grounds. I'd love to see if I can find the next part there. Of course, it's on the 3rd floor at the back of the castle. Great. I'll unfortunately be stuck in some meetings tomorrow, but I suppose, what are you thinking? I'll send urgent word to home that I want your medical exam conducted no later tomorrow morning. At this point, I'm just sweetening the deal by allowing him to miss those meetings as well. I'll have Heim's support, as I can always argue that I'm doing this for his benefit. He stands up and begins to slowly pace back and forth in the water. It's slightly entertaining to watch him lost in thought. I'm just rambling. I'll have the outstanding duties fulfilled so you can actually spend the afternoon freely. As soon as the exam's finished, I'll have someone escort you to the library. And then I can grab you once the meeting is finished. That'd be just fine, thank you. Of course. His tail wags again, acting like a slight propeller as he makes his way back over to me. He takes a spot next to me, resting against the wall once more. With plans established for the following day, we relinquish ourselves to the silence, enjoying its company. As time passes, the water next to me eventually shifts, prompting a curious look toward the source of the disturbance. Wolf brings his arms to the wall behind him, the palms of his paws pressing into the wall, lifting him out. He takes a seat in the marble, letting out an audible groan. Gonna stop it for the ad. Want to break from the ads? We're also gonna leave off soon. Not now, but soon. Not tonight. Not tonight. We're not doing the whole update tonight. Because it'll kill me. Okay, I need to cool down. Heat's getting to you, huh? Hey, you haven't got to deal with 2 coats of fur covering your whole body. Pfft. So I take it my invite was a good idea, huh? Yeah! I'm glad. Feels like I was overdue on having this. Don't sell yourself too short. I'd argue I've had quite a few since I got here. Thanks, Bryn. Don't mention it, though I think I'm going to follow your lead. I'm starting to get a bit waterlogged over here. With my hands pressed into the marble, I climb out of the water. Calder turns his back, dripping with water all the way over to the adjacent bench where he reaches down and grabs our towels. I gotcha. Here. Wolf outstretches his paw, lightly grasping the prepared towel. Oh no. Oh, thank you. My haste to grab the towel off the wolf's paw. I failed to recognize the sizable puddle of water that had formed from the wolf's prior walk. Rather than colliding with the strong marble flooring below me, I instead crashed into something a lot softer. My face buried in a mound of comfort, a particularly soft texture covering my eyes, my other senses scramble in an attempt to fix my altered posture. Ha! Ha! Not the classic, uh-oh, I slip. Yeah, we slipped. And we're gonna leave off here tonight. Oh my god. That is beautiful. That is a beautiful scene. Oh, shit. Fuck off, censor. Fuck off, censor. I think all of us do. Anyways, stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.